Hi everybody, welcome to this Board Game Life video review of the game Amerigo by Stefan Feld and Queen Games. This game was just recently released in 2013 to Kickstarter backers. It'll be in stores soon. And let's see what this game is all about. So here we've got the game, it's all set up. This is set up for a two-player game here because larger games won't fit in my little table here that I use for shooting. So what do we have? So we've got the main board over here. It comes with this frame that you then have 16 tiles all together that you just randomly choose, and you place them within the frame. Right now for a two-player game it's a 3x3. For 3 players it's 3x4, and then it goes up to 4x4, which is the full 16 tiles for 4 players. And we've got round markers over here that are placed. Those round markers are they denote the 5 rounds in the game. And then we have commodity tokens. There's a bunch of different kinds, like here's one here. This is not quite in focus there. There you go. You got this guy here, which would be cotton. Then there's coffee, the coconut guys, and so forth. These are all placed on top of their respective markers here on the board. Also, you'll see that there's water that runs around all of the islands there, and there's a particular placement where you can't have anything you can't have any water totally surrounded by land, and you can't have any of these touching diagonally to land on the adjacent tile. So basically it allows ships to pass through in all directions here. So we've got the main board over here, and then down over here we have the Tetris-like pieces of the game. These pieces over here are village tiles in player colors, so we're set up for blue and white. And then this is a 4-long piece of the blue villagers village there. And then so we've got the pieces for the blue village, or the blue player, the white player, and then these are neutral over here. And I'll go into those in a little bit. Then over on the other side of the board there, this is the main action board over here. We start the game off, there's 5 tokens right here. For pirates, you flip one of them over. So this is how many pirates are going to be threatening the players at the end of the round. Then we have 8 progress tokens here. These progress tokens are basically in 2 groups. So at the end of the full round, the ones on the right here will slide off. These will move over, and we'll pick 4 more to go on the left side over here. And these guys here, these are the production tokens. This is set up for a 2-player game, so we're only filling up all of the 2-player markers here. The 3 and the 4 remain open. Also, these guys here, they have a little player insignia here on the back of them. So this is for 2 players. All of the 3 and 4 player markers have been removed from the game. This is what they look like, of course, with the 3 and the 4 insignias on the back of them. So those have all been removed. So we're just playing with the 2 players. This is the supply here for both the progress and the production track there. We have the point track, the victory point track that goes all the way around. Each player is going to have these little markers here to denote what their score is, because obviously you go over 50 points in this game. And then this over here is the turn order track, and it does another little mechanism which I'll cover in a little bit. We place the player tokens here in the beginning of it. And then this here central area is where a lot of the action is going to take place. So I'll go into more detail on that in a little bit. Each player gets one of these boards. You place your commodity tokens up here on top for the 5 different kinds of commodities that we have across the board over there. And also here are the production guys that we have there. There's a gold track here that goes to 12. There's a cannon track that goes to 12. This is the progress track that each player has. It goes up to 15. And you put your progress tokens when you collect them right there. And then in addition, each player has 2 ships, as such right here. 2 ships, and you have 12 trading posts. So that's given to each player. At the start of the game, you have 5 discs. You place 3 of them here on your player board, place 1 over here on the turn order track, and on your victory point track right over there. So how does this game work? Well, first thing that you do is you take the really fun dice tower that it comes with. Oh, and I forgot to mention that the largest islands get one of these guys here. This is a treasure chest. So if the island has more than 20 squares on it, it gets one of these bad boys, and you put it anywhere. At the end of the game, this is worth 3 victory points, or you can trade it in for 3 gold at any point in the game. So let's carefully place this over here, and hopefully this will work out for the video. I don't recommend doing this in the regular game. And you take all of your little wooden tokens over here, or wooden cubes. I like to do this from the bag. And you basically seed the tower right there. So now that there's a couple that are stuck here in the tower, and then the rest have come out the bottom. So I'll carefully try to take these out of, carefully try to take these out of the tower. I wish this was a little heavier on the bottom so it wouldn't move as much, or you couldn't be jostled as much. So I'll put the tower back, and then you go through and you sort all of these guys here. So I'm going to get to sorting. Okay, so I've gone through and I've sorted all these out into their respective regions. So white is in white, blue is in blue, etc. And let's get on with the game here. So once we've seeded the cube tower, we go ahead and we start with the blue cubes over here. There's 7 cubes of each of the 7 colors. So we can see that there's 2, 4, 6, or I'm sorry, 2, 4, 5 of these cubes out here. So there's 2 of them still in the tower. And what you do is, I'll move this guy out here as careful as I can. You start off with the blues, and you put them in the tower, and you see what comes out. So right now we take what comes out of the tower and we put it in the center. So this is our first action. The blue is ship movement. So in player order at this point, we go ahead and we place ships out onto the board. Right now, this is the only action that we can take. And you can see here I have 2 ships. Hopefully you can see it here. I have these 2 ships, and I can place them out on the board. Each of these tiles has a number of squares on it, and also the frame, the corners have 3 squares as well. And what you basically do is I can move my ships up to 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. So let's say I'm going to start one over here, and I'll start another one right over here. So to move 4 spaces, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 here, and I stop on an anchor spot, which means I'm tied over here to this particular trading post. At this point, I can place a trading post wood piece right there, and on, let's say on this one here, I'm going to go 1, 2 spots instead of 4. I forfeit the remaining actions that I have. I forfeit 2 of them, and I place a trading post right there on that spot. The first person to colonize an island with a trading post gets 3 points. So that's 2 islands that I colonized. So that gives me 6 points. And blue, in this case, is starting player because he's on top of this track over here. So the way that this is resolved is the person that's out in front, the leading person, goes first, and when you're dealing with these tokens that are on top of each other, it's resolved top down. So that was basically my first move. I moved my 2 ships, I colonized 2 islands, and I gained 6 victory points. And then the white player basically would do the same thing. So for example, white player can go, start over here and go 1, 2, 3, 4, colonize this island here, and if they were to go 1, 2, 3, or even, yeah, like here, 1, 2, they could colonize this one as well. Now, since they are not the first person on that island, they don't get any points, but they are the first person on this island over here. And this is a big island because it's got the treasure chest on it. And I'll explain why that's a little important later on in the game. So in this case, the white player gets 3 points only. Once you complete an action, you move on to the next one, and you go around in clockwise fashion. So let's bring out the tower yet again. So I'm going to move a couple of these pieces here, hopefully to fit this a little bit better. Now we take the black cubes, and the black cubes get put in here, and let's see what comes out. So we got a couple of black cubes and a couple of blue cubes. We put them in the center. Let's move the dice tower, or the cube tower out of the way. I keep wanting to say dice tower. So in this case, we have 4 black cubes and 2 blue cubes. So what does that give us? Well, 2 things. It lets us do the blue action or the black action. The black action is to move down the cannon track, and the cannon track is important for a specific reason, because at the end of the round, so this is the first round of 5, at the end of the round you have to fight off the pirates. So right now I need at least 2 cannons in order to survive the pirate attack. So the cannons are pretty important, and you might not be able to get a chance to get cannons later on. So what we do here is we count the most of a particular color. So in this case, there's 4 black. That's the highest in quantity that we have in this action space over here. So you can take up to 4 actions in either blue or black. So you can move a ship again if you want, or you could load your cannons. So in this case, let's have both players just fill up their cannons over here. They're going to fill them up both to 4. Okay, so that was the end of the second phase here. Second phase. We put everything back. Now we bring this guy back out yet again, and we do the red action. Okay, what do we got? Got a couple of them here. Carefully put this back yet again. I don't recommend playing like that. It's a big hassle to move that thing back and forth. That's for sure. Okay, so we've got 5 reds and 1 black. Hey, we can take a black action again, or you can do red. So what's the red action? The red action lets you take tiles here from the general supply, both your color and neutral. You cannot take other players' color tiles, of course. And they let them you can put these into your personal supply. Each of these here has a specific cost to it. Right over here, as you can see, this one costs 5 action points in order to take it and put it into your supply. And hey, look at that. In this particular case, we have 5 action points available to us in either black or red. We don't need to load our cannons anymore, but hey, it sure is attractive to get some pieces over here to put into our personal supplies. So we go through this in turn order. Again, blue is the first person to go. So the blue player has 5 points available to them. And let's see over here. So we've got 2 islands, and the blue player can take this one here for 4. And you can only take 1 neutral tile, or any player can take only one neutral tile per turn or per phase here. And then the blue player is also going to grab one of their own here, and we'll do this one. So these two together are 5, 4 and 1. So this goes next to the blue player's supply. The white player is going to do something similar, and let's see the layout over there. Yeah, let's take one of these guys here for 4, and then also take, how about one of these? Okay, so there we have it, 5 points yet again, 4 and 1. So these go by the white player. Board over here. Okay, so that's the end of this particular phase over here. We've both taken our turns. Bring the cube tower back out yet again. Push the cubes back to where they belong. And now we do the brown action. What do we got now? Got a couple browns. We got another black again. Black is being very generous this time around. So here we can do 5 brown actions and 1 black again. Black again is loading cannons. We don't need those right now because we've got enough for both players here to cover the pirate attack of 2 at the end of the round. So what does brown do? Brown lets a player move their token around this progress track. And what happens is each of these spots here with the numeral on it is the amount of points that you're going to score at the end of the game for reaching that area. So for example, if I go to this spot here, I score 1 point. If I go over here, I score 3 points, etc. And each time you pass one of these numbers, you also get to draw one of these tokens. And those tokens are basically modifiers for the rest of the game. You place them here, and they let you do all sorts of fun stuff like this one here lets you increase the pirate attack number for every opponent by 2. And this little symbol right here with the little infinity symbol, if you can see that, if we can get a focus on there, that means it's permanent throughout the game. If it says an E, that's an end of game thing, usually scoring, and then 1x is a one-time effect. So there's a couple of things that they're doing here. So this adds 2 action points for every ship movement. This makes certain tokens or certain cubes interchangeable. And then this is 3 money, a one-time action, and so forth. So as the blue player, we'll go through and we can move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces. Hey, that's pretty cool. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're right up there. And the blue player can now draw one of these tokens. This guy here, that affects every other player by bumping up their pirate attack by 2. I just showed you guys this one a couple seconds ago. This one's pretty powerful. This one's pretty nasty. So hey, we're going to take that because we're in it to win it. We're not in it to be nice, I guess. Okay, so that is the action for the blue player. The white player is going to do the same thing, going up to 6. And then, hey, what are we going to do here? Let's do the ship action. Why not? I'll take this over here. So every time there's the ship movement action, he can move 2 additional spaces. Okay, so that right there is the end of the brown action. Now we go to the green action. The green action is building. This is where you can actually place the landscape tiles and village tiles from your supply. So that's the general supply. This is personal supply. You can place it from your personal supply out onto the board and collect commodity resources. So what do we have now? Yeah, it looks like we got 5 back. So it ate a couple of them. Okay, put the cube tower back yet again. Take it out of the way here. Okay, So now we have 5 build actions available to us. Hey, that works out pretty darn good for both of our players here, because as it cost earlier to take these from the general supply, 4 and 1, 5, it now costs the same amount to build it onto the islands. And let me go into these numbers here on this side. You can see that this 1 by 2 tile here is 1 and 2. So what that means is when you place this onto a small island, it's worth 1 point. If you place it onto a large islands have the treasure chests that are more than, or 20 or more squares, that's worth 2 points. Now, your player colored tiles usually are pretty low scoring. But hey, look at this, the general supply ones, which cost a heck of a lot more to place and to get from the supply, they're worth a lot more points. And this bad boy goes onto the large island, then he gets, or the big island, it gets 12 points, or 8 points on the small island, which isn't too bad either. So at this point, I have 5 points available to me for the blue player, and I've got these, which are exactly 5 anyway. So I'm going to place these. Okay, rules for placing these. You place them on the island. It has to be adjacent to one of your, like for the first placement, it has to be adjacent to one of your guys here. So I can place this right over here, and I collect any of these guys that I go on top of, and I put it onto my player board over here. And then I'm going to place my second one. I'm going to place it over here. Oops, put it upside down. I'm going to place it like that. Okay, so at this point, you do a little bit of scoring. So right now, I placed this on a small island, so that's worth 8 points. I placed this guy here on a small island, it's worth 1 point, so that's 9 points total. So I'm going to advance up 9 points. That puts me at 15 right there. And the action is done over here. If you complete an island, if the person who completes an island, they get an additional 3 points. So scoring for islands is 3 points for being the first one onto the island. Then you score the amount of on the tile over here based on small or big island, and 3 for completing the island. And there's a track over here, which you probably can't see too well because it's sideways. See that right there? So this basically says for your scoring, if you have 1 trading post on there, your score would be 1 times the round marker, which right now is right up there, and it's at 5. So if you have 1 on there, it's 1 times 5, and 5 points for these. If you have 3, that's 6 times 5. That's 30 points. That's a lot of points right up in the beginning. So you definitely get rewarded for completing these islands first. And that also happens to everybody who's on the island as well. So again, to kind of recap that, 3 for getting on the island, you score your tiles, and then flip them over, and then 3 for the person who completes an island, and you get points based on the amount of trading posts that you have. So these here I scored already, so I'll just flip them over as such. And we go on to the white player. So the white player has got some options available to them. And so here, the white player will take this guy and place this here, and then place this other guy right here as such, and then collect the second one. So now the white player went onto a big island because the treasure chest is on it. We know that that's a big island. So the white player scored 12 plus 2, 14 points. So that's 17 points. Now, when you complete the big island, you also get the treasure chest, which I mentioned, which I don't think I mentioned earlier. Then placement for these tiles, you have to go over land, you can't go over water, you can't go over the trading post, although you can go over a trading post that isn't settled yet. And to complete an island, you have to fill up the entire island. Okay, so that's the build action. Okay, we're done with that. Okay, the next one is the production action. So let's bring this back over here. And we'll dump these yellow cubes in. So there's one of them that's still in there. Okay, what do we got? We lost a yellow cube to the tower. And we got a couple other ones here. All right, let's see, what do we have? What do we have? So we've got 5 actions total that we can do, because there's 5 yellows. And then we've got 1 brown, 2 green, and 5 yellow. So you can do the brown action, which is this track. There's 5 yellows. So what you do is you have 5 points available to you, and all of these here have a numeric value to them. So as the blue player has only like 1 coffee over here. So they can spend 5 points total to purchase these 2 tiles. And the numbers on there are the cost of them. So 2 and 3 is 5. Other than that, these have no cost, or the numbers mean nothing other than cost. So we'll put those there. And then the white player can go. Let's see, he's got those 2. Tell you what, the white player is going to move up the track here. So go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Gets to claim another one of the progress tokens. So let's see here. Progress tokens. Let's say you can claim this here, which is plus 3 gold. It's a one-time action because it's got the 1x on it. Okay. Put that there, and then claim the 3 gold immediately. Now the cool thing about gold is that gold can be used in place of action points. So if you want to have 2 more action points available, you bump this down 2. If you want 3 additional, you bump them down here. So it can be a little bit of strategic advantage to use that. Okay, so we're done with that. Let's put these back, and now we're down to the final round, or phase for this round, and that's the white ones. So let's put the white ones into the tower. Okay, we got some white ones and a friend here. So we got 6 white ones and a red. So red was to draw from here. So the players can either use the white action, which I'll go to in a second here, or you can do the red action, which is to purchase or to receive land and village tiles from the supply. So let's say we're going to do the white one here. So the blue player, what they do is they move up the track 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, now this means that there's 1 point scored at the end of the game for going past this. The white player now can also move 6 and go on top. Now the person who's on top goes first. So even though they moved the same amount over here, 6 spots, now the white player is first player. So that's a little bit of an advantage. Can also maybe take 6 tiles worth of, or 6 action points worth of these tokens here. Let's see, is that worth it? So the white player is on the big island, so it definitely would help to have more access to things. This guy here, and we'll take this one. This one, and one more. I'll take this. So that goes into the supply. Now, when you move up this track, when you're doing the white action, you have two options available to you. You can either move up the track that amount, so this was 6 in our case here, or whatever color you're on, the white is essentially a wild. So if I'm on yellow here and it's 6, I can do the yellow action with 6 action points, which would be to purchase here production spaces here. If you had black, for example, if you're on the black space, then you can load cannons, blue, move ship, etc. So it gives you two things. So that's something to be aware of. So that we do that. Oh, and that only happens once you move off of this first spot. So we got those there. And now it's the end of the round. There's a couple of things that happen at the end of the round before we go through and we complete things. The first thing that you do is you go through and you basically fight off the pirates. So in this case, we had 2 pirates that we need to fight off, and we just bump these down as such. If you cannot fight off the pirates, even by 1, you move this all the way down. So let's say, as an example here, if we start off at 1 and we need to fight off 2, you lose the cannon, you go down to 0, and then you suffer 2 points worth of damage, meaning you go down on the victory point track. In the beginning it's not too bad, but later on in the game you can easily lose 10 points or more. You go through and you do some basic cleanup of sorts, where you reveal 1 more pirate marker at random. Oops. So now you have to fight off 5 pirates worth with cannons. These tiles here on the right go away. These slide over. 4 more are revealed as such. These guys here go away. Some more are revealed. Like that. Yep, going every which way here. And you just basically go through and, oh, I forgot to take this guy off, take the time marker off. We're now in the second round, which means that if you do any scoring with these guys, you multiply by 4 instead of the 5, which we had here originally. So you score less points as you complete them. So now you just basically go through, you start with blue again, drop them into the tower, and continue everything that we did. The end of the game, you're doing a couple of things. You go through after you complete the last round, you convert anything like treasure tokens that you have here, you convert those into gold, so you bump up your points accordingly. Then this is the thing that kind of throws people off a little bit. What you do is you take your goods and your production tiles. So here's 1 and 2. So this is my commodity goods. This is my production guys here. And you multiply them quantity by quantity. So I have 1 and 2. That's 1 times 2. So I score 2 points for these. If I had something like this here, 1 and 4, that's 4 points. Even better yet is if I had something like this, now I have 2 times 4, that's 8 points. So it's a lot better to have multiples of each and not just one of these and a ton of those. That's really not a whole lot of points. So you go through and you add those up. Then, so we did the goods, the progress tokens, some of them give you points at the end of the game and so forth. And then you count up these points. So here's 1 point for blue, 3 points for white, 1 point on this track over here for blue, nothing for white if the game were to end right now. And also gold. Yeah, each piece of gold is worth 1 victory point. So in this case, it would be worth 3 to each player. So that basically is Amerigo. I really enjoy this game. It reminds me of a couple of different games kind of all mashed up together. Like that board over there, totally, and the ships going around, it totally reminds me of this game from back in the day called Seven Cities of Gold, which I really, really, really loved. So it's like a little bit of Seven Cities of Gold. It's got a little bit of a Tetris feel to it because you're trying to fit all of these tiles. Somewhere in the island, you're trying to get these commodity goods over there. You're trying to get the commodity goods. You're trying to go around your opponent. You're just trying to fill up the island because it's odd shapes. Maybe you don't have that one shape that you need, then you're kind of hosed a little bit. But so it's got that Tetris action, and then this whole area here with the gold and the cannons over here and how it functions. It kind of reminds me of Peloponnese a little bit, which is another fantastic game that I really enjoy. So I really enjoy this game. There's been some, I guess, discussion about this this cube tower over here, because some people are finding that they dump 7 cubes of a particular color in and they get 7 cubes out of that same color. So it's not trapping the cubes. I've never had that experience. I mean, there's been a couple of times where it's happened, but for the most part, there's 1 or 2 other cubes that pop out, which I think is how the game's designed. I think that's the behavior that you want. I mean, I don't think it'd be a very good game if it would have, let's say, 2 black, 2 blue, 2 yellow, and 2 red coming out. Because then, yeah, you've got 4 choices, but you've got only 2 actions available to you, and that's it. And that's no fun. So I really think that the expected behavior for these is you get a majority, usually of the one that you just dropped in there, and then you get like 1 or 2 other cubes of other colors. So, you drop in the blacks, you might get a couple, like 1 blue and let's say 2 yellows, because then it mixes up what your available actions are. So, yeah, that's let's see what was in there. Actually, yeah, so there was a fair amount of cubes that were in there. So there was 6 cubes of a fairly good dispersion of color in there. And then if you look at this thing, I'll kind of show this. There's this hopper right here. So the hopper, what it does is it takes the cubes and it pushes them into the 4 corners over there. You can see there's like this little center part. So it pushes them out. And then when you look at the cube tower itself, you can see that there really isn't too much space that shoots straight out. Like if you go down here, it'll go down to the little slant guy here. It'll go down there, and then there's lots of spots for the cubes to get stuck on. So there's been some talk also. If you look over here, there's some blue. There's like blue, and then the one above here is yellow. I guess they say to make sure that the colors match, because otherwise the tower might be improperly assembled. And just as a tip from me, don't take it apart. It's kind of a pain to get these things back. It's not hard, but it's more effort than I wanted to spend to put it back together. So that's Amerigo. It's entertaining. I really enjoy it. There's a lot of stuff that's going on with these colors. The cube tower aspect is kind of fun. It's something different than your usual dice rolling or whatnot, or card drawing. It takes a fair amount of time to play. I've played it 2-player and 3-player, or was it 4? No, 3-player. And the 3-player game lasted, I don't know, probably at least a good hour and a half or so. Granted, I was teaching the game and the people were, learning it, and we were taking our time. But, expect the game to go easily over an hour. So that's about it. So that is Amerigo. Let me get the box cover over here so you can remember what the game looks like at the store. It's a fairly enjoyable game. I really like this. I'm a big Stefan Feld fan, and this year has been a fantastic year for Stefan Feld fans, because this is the 4th game that he's come out with in 2013. which is just amazing. So hopefully he'll keep up the good work and come out with some more great stuff. So that's Amerigo. Thanks for watching.